Hello, today is the 6th of Jan 2025, and this is the first demo for the Simplify the Web Chrome extension. Um, I like to spend some of my free time, learning new things, catching up on the news, and just trying to stay afloat with all the things that are happening in the world. But I found that in 2024, I wasn't able to really do a great job of it. I was busy with work, constantly distracted with a million other things. I'm sure everyone can relate. And so during the holiday season, I tried to build something that would help solve for that. This is a very, very early demo, but I'm hopeful to make the extension public later this week so I can get some feedback. But how it works is essentially you navigate over to a article that you'd like to understand. You call the extension. Now, of course, I haven't registered yet, so it says please register. Once I click on register, it takes me to the website, and it allows me to use Google Auth. It's pretty quick for me to actually set this up. So I'm going to do that right now. And of course, this is still in development, so the message is just Google login successful and a token is synced with, which doesn't really mean anything. It's important for the extension to work, but we can ignore that for now. Now that I've registered, I can navigate back to the article, and this is going to be the case for everyone. You only have to register once, of course, and you interact with the extension. And now you're authenticated. You're ready to save URLs, which you can save and refer back to later from the website, which I'll show you guys. I'm actually going to save this just in case. And you can summarize the current tab, and you can also ask questions. So the first thing I'm going to do, because I'm interested in stable coins, I'm interested in the banking and financial system, but I don't have time to read this article. So I'm going to summarize the current tab, and I'm going to review the summary at a high level to see what interests me, and I can learn more. So the content discusses the impact of stablecoins, merchants due to high swipe fees, and potential for stablecoin networks to offer low fees, stuff like that, right? I guess my first question, and I can ask a question and basically interact with the extension. What are incumbents in the space doing to integrate stablecoins? What's really cool and what really helps with learning is actually having a conversation. And so by asking a question, we're basically having a conversation with the web page that we're on. And I have a pretty straightforward answer here. Incumbents in the space are facing pressure to adapt to stablecoins due to potential regulatory changes and competitive threats. And there's a whole answer here. What's really cool is, of course, because we're integrated with OpenAI's APIs, there's always the worry about like, well, how do I really know this answer is true from the content that I'm looking at and is not hallucinated because it's an AI model. So we also have references that relate directly to the question. And what's really cool is if I was to click on one of these references, it takes me to and in fact highlights exactly where from the article it picked that up. So I'm going to go to one of the later ones, which is probably down the article somewhere, and I'll click on it. And as you can see, it navigated me to exactly that part of the article, and it even highlighted it, as you can see here. I'll show you this in another article. Uh, Late last week, Joe Biden blocked the takeover of Nippon Steel of US Steel. And I was reading this article and I saw that Joe Biden ignored the rule of law to gain favor with trade unions. I'm not going to read this entire article, but it was really interesting to me how a blocked takeover could be favoring trade unions. So I'm going to interact with the extension again and I will ask, how could a blocked takeover favor trade unions? I'm going to ask it the question, of course, same way I did on the last tab. And it's going to tell me that a block takeover could favor trade unions by protecting domestic jobs and industries. Fair enough. Which are often a priority for unions, of course, because trade unions are all about protecting their jobs. Could prevent potential layoffs or restructuring that might have occurred under new ownership, safeguarding existing jobs and labor agreements. Once again, all the references are present. So the first reference, the White House defended the decision, claiming that foreign ownership of US Steel presented a national security risk. And there is a second one here as well. Now I'm curious, the US has a new president. How does that affect this? So, what does Trump think, and will he allow the takeover? I'm going to ask the question, and it's going to show up at the top here. So Trump also plans to block the takeover, believing that tariffs would make U.S. steel more profitable. Of course, Trump has been speaking about the increased tariffs that he's going to instate, making U.S. steel more profitable. He aims to enact tariffs to boost U.S. companies' competitiveness and spur a manufacturing boom. Trump remains opposed to the deal, which is pretty interesting. And so if I click on that reference, it takes me directly there. Trump has said he has plans to enact sweeping tariffs, which makes the U.S. imports to the U.S. more expensive, um, and it's increasing demand for steel. Fair enough, right? That's exactly what the reference says. And then has also said he would block the deal. That's just another reference to the same one. Pretty cool. I got the gist of most of this without having to actually read the article. And for my final question, I'll ask, what does this mean for the US Japan relationship? And I'm going to ask that question. And could strain US Japan trade relations, which is, of course, pretty straightforward. And again, the references work just fine. We also have preset prompts here. These are very basic. I didn't really put a lot of thought into them, but you can click them and you can ask those questions as well. And the last one I'd like to demonstrate today is I oftentimes come across articles that are very technical, but I'd like to get a high level understanding of them, just in case it helps me with my job. It's not likely to, but what if, right? So, what I'll start doing here is I'll just summarize the current tab, and I will go through the summary and I'll ask questions based on that. And it works really well for a complex article like this, because this article is about ML models and how they're used to predict reliability in estimated time of arrivals at Lyft. One of the points I saw here was about performance of predictive models in a dynamic environment. And I'm really curious, right? So I'm really curious about this, I should say. How does Lyft maintain model predictability, if I can spell that, with such high traffic on their platform? And I'm going to ask the question. And of course, the summary is going to collapse automatically and it's going to give me the answer I need at the very top. And as you can see, so Lyft maintains model predictability in high traffic scenarios by using a tree-based classification model for reliability estimation. They train the model on all possible ETA estimates and the whole answer that is here. And I can also go to different references and I can directly click on them and of course be taken to that part of the article. I think it works really well with technical articles as well, because you can, instead of reading all of it, you can sort of hop around, ask questions, see references, and even that instigates new questions, I think. So I've gone to this reference and it mentions an innovative training approach. So I'm going to ask, why is Lyft's training approach innovative? And I'm just going to add explain like I'm 5, because this is a complicated article. Lyft's training model approach is innovative because they train the model on all possible ETA estimates for each ride instead of just the factual ETA estimates shown to riders. This means duplicating each ride in the training data multiple times, once for each possible ETA estimate. That's pretty cool. If I, now that I've done the demonstration, I'm also going to save this current tab. And if I go back to the website, I'm going to have to refresh the page, of course, but the landing page still stays, but your saved URLs are also visible at the bottom of the page. It's going to be prettied up when I make this public, but yeah, that's the end of the demo. Thank you.